So I made it to Bangkok, and this is Hua Long Pong Station where I arrived in Bangkok, a place that I called home for the next 12 years. And I wanted to tell you in this video 5 different things. Firstly, how did I support myself during that period without having to call on the small bit of money that I had back in my own country? Secondly, some of the areas that I lived in, because I moved around a bit while I was here. Thirdly, what kind of visas did I have while I was here, or work permits or documentation to stay here legally for such a long time?
Okay.
Then I'll tell you 1 or 2 experiences, good and bad, that I had while I was here. How did I stay on the rails for more than 10 years? And then finally, my personal reflections on what it's been like living in Bangkok for more than a decade.
So the first priority was to find somewhere to live. I hadn't actually organised anything before I went to Bangkok. I could have stayed in a hotel a couple of nights, but as luck would have it, I was gazing out of the window on the SkyTrain heading towards Egamai, where I needed to go to. And when I arrived at Tonglaw, I saw a sign. It's just about visible now, all these years later. But I decided to jump off the train and find out what they had on offer.
Came down to find Suti Mansion 2. And the main reason it appealed to me was just the idea of being literally a few steps away from the SkyTrain. It was just too good to turn down, and I thought it might be expensive. But actually, it was about 8,000 baht a month that I paid.
So let's do a little bit of undercover investigation, find out if they've still got rooms available and how much.
ตอนนี้ว่างไหม เต็มเลยไม่ว่างอ๋อ
ใช่ค่ะสิ้นเดือนนี้
สิ้นเดือนนี้ end of this month
มี
ห้
ห้
อ
อง ง
ว่าง
ราคา 8,000 บาท
8,000 baht ถูกจังเนาะ
สิ้นเดือนนี้มาดูใหม่นะคะ
So you might have just heard that I asked about a room, and they still have rooms available at the same price that I remember paying.
There was another reason why I enjoyed my time here, and that was, although this shop you can see is a 7-Eleven, 10 years ago or more it was an upscale hairdresser's, and the windows that you can see there, they used to be clear and you could see the staff working inside, and there was one particular woman who took my eye. But the problem I had was how to make contact with her.
I did think about, well, why don't you just go in and have your hair styled? Of course, for me, there was one big disadvantage with that idea. I decided the best way forward was to actually work out what time she finished. And then I followed her to the BTS. I think it's probably called stalking these days. Asked her for a telephone number, and we eventually ended up living together. So I already got my accommodation sorted then, at least for a few months. And the next thing that I had to do was go to my place of work. I got a job in a language school inside Major Egamai, just 1 station away from Tonglaw. So walking down towards Major Egamai on my first day, I was quite nervous, I have to say. I'd gone from being a teacher for 1 year to being offered a job as a director of studies, which is basically the head teacher or the boss. I did ask on my first day, was it my fantastic resume, CV, my experience of 20 years management in the UK, or the excellent reports of my teaching, only to be told that no, actually the boss was going away for 6 months and they really desperately needed someone to sit in the seat. So here we are then at Major Egamai. And the great thing for this language school is that we were positioned right at the top of the escalators, just on the spot that I'm standing on right now. But as with a lot of businesses in this shopping centre, that school is long gone. I do remember not long after I started working here, the landlord decided to increase the rent quite significantly, and the owner decided it really wasn't worth it to stay here. So we were initially replaced by some sort of 99 baht steak restaurant or cafe and a Chester grill. But the school moved lock, stock and barrel. I must admit, when the boss said we were relocating, I didn't really want to. When I was at the office, I could use my lunch break just going for a quick workout. I was so impressed by it that I decided to go for the lifetime membership at California Wow Fitness. And then about a week later when I came, all the shutters were down, the business had disappeared, and it's now come back under a different brand name. So that's why I'm not as fit as I used to be. It's not actually that I'm a lazy git, it's because California Wow took my lifetime membership and ran off with the money.
Oh my God.
allegedly. Believe it or not, being a manager of a language school wasn't really all that I thought it would be. Most of the problems that I had, if you can call those challenges, opportunities, most of the challenges that I had in the language school were normally around teachers who were not really behaving as they should do. Hello? The teacher came drunk again. The teacher smelled of smoke and had a tattoo. The teacher fell asleep in the class again. The teacher turned up 90 minutes late for a 1.5 hour class. And I decided to take the opportunity to go back to teaching, and then I only had to look after myself. Some people after the last video asked me, well, what about salary? I was getting 30,000 baht a month whilst I was in Ratchaburi. And of course, when I came to Bangkok, I did get a significant increase, I think about 10 or 15,000 baht more. But what I'd say about salary is, certainly if you're someone like me, I can spend as little or as much as you give me. By which I mean, when I was on 30,000 baht, I spent it. And they used to joke actually at school that I was trying to get coins out of the ATM because I was always down to 0 baht on the last day of the month on payday. And then when I got more money because I came to Bangkok, guess what? I spent that as well. And my salary did go up significantly over the years that I worked in Bangkok. But even when I was on the top salary, which was actually about 80,000 baht a month at one point, I still managed to find a way to spend it. It's just a question of cutting your cloth accordingly, and I've managed to do it with 30,000 baht and a lot more than that. And I think if you're prepared to go for it in a flexible way, you just want to be here, then there's always a way around things. So I ended up working for 2 years in another school, and this time I was on Sukhumvit 22, which again back in the day used to be quite a lively soy. If anyone remembers Washington Square, places like that. But there was 4 teachers doing the English program there. You might not know that in some Thai schools they have an English program and they learn maths or math, computers and English with foreign teachers alongside doing the rest of the syllabus in Thai language. And again, I got this job by not the straightest route because I had a good friend called Charlie. I'd worked with him before. He got offered a job here, but he'd also got offered a job somewhere else. So he took the one somewhere else and gave me the heads up. They're looking for a teacher on Soi 22 if you're interested. So I went there just at the right time and they gave me a job, and then Charlie's job turned out to be no good. He wanted to come back. I'd already filled his position, oops. So he ended up being the computers teacher, and I think he'll agree with me. He probably barely knew how to switch on a computer when he got that job. And 2 years I taught here, and I was finding increasingly that I wanted to go back to the corporate world and teach adults. Well, I didn't have to go very far to find an opportunity. In fact, it was just about 100 meters down the road. And as luck would have it again, behind me there's a kind of like an English consultancy type place that runs courses for adults. And I went there and they gave me a job. I actually got a job here at the Imperial Queen's Hotel on Sukhumvit 22. My job was to teach all of the staff who come in contact with the public how to speak some basic English. Nice little job it was too, because they threw in a buffet lunch for me. Any story about life is bound to be tinged by times of sadness. And I remember vividly one day when I was teaching, it's like probably everyone remembers where they were for 9/11, and I remember exactly what I was doing on this night in 2015. I'd got a job working for GlaxoSmithKline, the manufacturers of Sensodyne and similar stuff to that, at the building behind me. And I used to go there 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock after they'd finished their work. And one particular evening, I remember we were due to finish at 7 o'clock, and at about 6:55, there was this enormous bang and rumble. And I remember saying to the class, I think we'll finish a couple of minutes early tonight. Sounds like a big thunderstorm's rolling in. And then when I went outside, there was absolute pandemonium. At 6:55 on that particular night, a bomb had exploded at the Erawan Shrine, which is just a few hundred meters down the road. Already within a few minutes, there were people screaming, people running, you couldn't get on the trains. You could hear the sirens start to come. It was an absolutely terrible night where 20 people sadly lost their lives, and a really, really sad night that I'll never forget. I think if you ask me the question, where was my favourite place that I worked in all that time, this one would come top of the list for reasons that will become obvious in a minute. This is Boon Rawd Breweries. I'm not sure anyone who's been to Thailand, or even if they haven't, will know the brands that they produce. They produce Beer Sing, Singer Beer. They also produce Leo Beer. They got several anyway, and they also produce Singer Water. And I was lucky enough to get a job teaching their marketing team. And word got around because very soon I was offered a similar job teaching at the Heineken brewery, which is just outside of Bangkok. And people ask, how does it work having breweries in a Buddhist country like Thailand? And I have to say that one of the explanations I was given is that they also make a lot of merit. They do a lot of good things to offset the fact that they make their profits from alcohol, which is a little bit frowned on. And one of the ways that they do that is by giving free English lessons to their staff as a benefit. And another way they do it, and I forget which way round it was with Beer Sing and Heineken, at one place, when it's your birthday, every staff member gets 24 bottles of beer for free. And at another place, I think it was the Heineken one, they had free bar one night a week for the employees, and they actually coincided my English lesson on the day of the free bar. Well, you imagine what that was like. When you are a teacher in Thailand, it's traditional at the end of the course, they will give you like a free gift, and you have a photograph taken with the students. And I must have enough pens and enough silk ties to last me a lifetime. But the other thing that I often got given was like a polo shirt, and this one, I don't know whether you can see, this one was the one that was given to me by Sing Beer. Certainly with a sense of humour as well, because we talked about football, and I'm not a Manchester United fan, but they were at the time sponsoring Manchester United, so they gave me this shirt. And I wanted to wear it. I don't mind advertising Sing Beer, but I'm not wearing a red shirt with Manchester United on it, so I carefully got another patch sewn on top of the Manchester United badge so that I could still wear it to this very day. So if you do lose your job with a work permit, then one of the problems is you need to get a visa. And without that work permit, it's quite difficult. So during the time when I wasn't working, I got an education visa and tried to polish up my Thai a little bit more. I went to a language school in Asok, and it was kind of fun, met a few more people, made a few more friends. Some of the people were just there for the visa, really. These days, I think immigration's a bit tighter on testing you to see whether you've bothered to learn any Thai whilst having the education visa, but it helped get me through until I reached the age of 50, and at 50 in Thailand, you can get a retirement visa. Recently, I had to find another way to make some money. In the months and years in Bangkok when I wasn't able to secure a job that had a work permit. And one way that I came up with, I'm not necessarily recommending to you, I'm definitely not a financial advisor, was I bought 2 or 3 condos. And the first one I bought is behind me now. It's called The Bloom on Sukhumvit 71. And I bought that condo, I don't know, about 2 million baht. Managed to make a small profit, by which I mean 200,000 or 300,000 baht, when I eventually sold it. And that was enough to keep me going because I tried that 2 or 3 times. In fact, the more successful one that I had was where I was actually paying by the month to buy a condo off plan. And then when it came the time to make the big final payment, I sold that option to buy and made some money on a condo that I never lived in and never really owned, and that worked quite well. But as my friends will tell you, I'm really not the best one for financial advice. The third time I did it was just before COVID, and if I just about broke even, that was all that I managed to do. So I did live here for a year. This opened brand new, so I got a small condo here on a rental. This is the line Sukhumvit 71. What I really liked about this place, 2 things actually. One, yes, it was brand new. And the second thing that I liked about my room is it directly overlooked W District, my favourite eating place, but got so busy, especially on Friday, Saturday nights, weekends, that you just couldn't get a table. And my condo here had a perfect view looking down over W District, when I saw a free table, I used to jump in the lift as quickly as possible and go running to bag that table. So what about eating the food here? That's another concern that people have. Now, I have to tell you that I'm known as a bit of a fussy eater. Even after being here like 13 years, I didn't eat somtam, I didn't eat durian, the fruit, but all I would say is there's every single type of food at every single price point in Bangkok. Some days I'll be eating street food, 40 baht for a plate, very delicious it was too. But the thing about Bangkok, every nationality, every type of food, every price point, there's definitely something for everyone. So I just wanted to do some reflections on my time in Bangkok, and it's definitely true that I haven't regretted it for a minute. And my only advice, apart from to get a better cat, my only advice to anyone who's thinking about it is do it as quickly as you can, because like I came here when I was 47, now I'm over 60, and the things that I used to do when I was 47, in all honesty, I can't do when I'm over 60. And then the other thing that I'd say is, and I think honestly I've just had a great opportunity here. I have been lucky en route to get so many great jobs, to meet so many fantastic people, but to an extent I would say you can influence your own luck. If you want to be one of those people who comes and lives here and stays here, complains about everything, complains about Thai people, about Thai women, about the weather, well, go ahead. But for me, I rather try to make my own luck, stay positive, just keep on trying, because you are going to get hit by obstacles on the way. It's how you deal with those obstacles. If one door closes, try and find another one that can open for you. And normally in Thailand, I have to say, there is something good just around the corner. My original plan was never to be a teacher in Thailand, and in fact, as I said in the last video, my plan was to maybe stay here 1 year, that then changed to 2 years and 3 years. Somewhere en route, I can't exactly remember where I quit my job in the UK, and I've obviously been here ever since, and I don't regret it for a minute. So I've just tried to give you a flavour of my life living as an expat and working in Bangkok for 12 years. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If there's parts of it where you think I'd like to know more about that, then leave me a comment down below. Maybe we'll come back to it in a future video. But for me, in a very sunny and a hot Bangkok as normal, goodbye from me. See you for another video very soon. Bye bye for now.